ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد عبده ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم هو سيدنا المرسلين وخاتم النبيين وإمام كبرتين وجدي حسن وحسين الحمد لله الذي جعل يوم الجمعة سيدنا اليوم ونعبد ونستعين. All praise and gratitude is indeed due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who gave Friday a superiority over all other days. We do not worship anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we seek every kind of help from Him alone. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who enjoined the Jummah prayer on all Muslims by saying words that have been translated thus. O believers, whenever you're called to prayer on Friday, hasten to the mosque to remember Allah and quit business. And we send countless blessings on His holy prophet, Habibina wa Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who is the spiritual leader of all humanity, and on His family, and on His honorable companions, particularly on Amir al-Mu'mineen Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, the most distinguished man after the prophets, and on Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh, who always spoke on the basis of truth and justice, and on Amir al-Mu'mineen Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anh, who was perfect in faith and modesty, and on Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anh, the victorious Lion of Allah, and on the two sacred, honored, and spiritually distinguished and martyred sons of Ali, Hassan, the father of Muhammad, and Hussein, father of Abdullah, radiallahu anhu. We also send countless blessings on their honored mother Fatima, radiallahu anha, who is the chief of all women in this world and in the hereafter. And on the two noble uncles of the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hamza and Abbas. And on the six other worthy companions of the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who received the happy tidings of being the inmates of paradise. And all other associates and followers of the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with all of them. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are now in a very beautiful and glorious time in Islam. Inshallah, we're at the time in which that there are millions of our brothers and sisters all over the world who are traveling to the house of Allah for the sole purpose of fulfilling the right Hajj. They are there with the sole purpose, like I said, of not any type of national pride, of not any type of tribal pride, of not anything at all. You've heard me say it before, and I'll continue to say it over and over again. It's the greatest family reunion on the face of the earth. Because once a year, everybody on the face of the earth has to bear witness to the fact that we're all one. Now, if we look at what's happening in the world today and the fitna that's happening all over the world today, we see that this is an important lesson. People can play it down. People can say, yes, I know that, I know that, I know that. But do we act like that? And the sad answer is no. If we look at the way in which that we treat each other all over the planet, and I'm not just talking about as far as Muslims and non-Muslims, I'm even just talking about as far as Muslims and Muslims. We need to realize the fact that indeed we are one. That we are all the sons and daughters of Adam and his wife Hawa. May Allah be pleased with them. And inshallah, that the Hajj gives us an opportunity of people coming together because all their purposes is labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika labbaik. They're coming together just to worship Almighty God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to bear witness to the oneness of Allah. La sharika. That He has no partners whatsoever. That there is nothing higher than Almighty God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that this message of Tawheed is something that's so badly needed in the world today. Because we see that we're facing a time in which people are going back to basically idolatry. Well, what is the idolatry, man? The idolatry is racism, tribalism, Their idolatry is party spirit. Their idolatry, in some cases, is nationalism. And you find that there are many people who are very afraid of one other ism. And inshallah, it's a term that, inshallah, I've sort of anglicized. And by that I mean I'm taking the Arabic term and adding something English onto it. But I call it ummatism. And ummatism is the thing that made Islam strong. It allowed us to realize that we're all one body. And we remember this when we look at the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he told us that when one part of the body hurts, the whole body hurts. And this is the reason why that when we look at the pictures that's going on in Aleppo, that you could be a Native American Muslim in Arizona, like I read something that a brother wrote. A Native American Muslim from the Sioux tribe who was crying when he saw the picture of the little boy in Aleppo. Because inshallah ta'ala Aziz, that was his child, he said. And this is something that we should all feel. This ummatism is something that has caused Islam to be the strongest thing on the face of the earth at one time. And we have to ask, where is that ummah? Where is that ummah that we once knew? Where is that strength and power, inshallah, that we all should be part of? That we all reach out to our brothers and our sisters all over the world, no matter what color their skin is, no matter what language they speak, no matter what else is going on with them, and we realize and recognize the fact that we all recognize one God. We all are the followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that this deen of Islam, inshallah, is the way of life. I didn't say religion purposely. It's the way of life that we're supposed to follow. And it's a way of life filled with certain things, inshallah, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam talked about on another occasion when he stood on the rocks at Mount Arafah. And when he gave khutbah wahada, his farewell khutbah, when he reminded us of the fact that we didn't have a fact that there were black or brown superior over white, or that there were white superior over black or brown. There was no situation where the Arab was superior to the Ajami, or the Ajami was superior to the Arab. This is what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us about, because he knew that a time would come that this would be causing problems within this ummah. So we have to find ourselves, inshallah, being prepared to not just look at Hajj as one of the great pillars of Islam, which it is. We know this way of life, this arkan, these posts, these pillars of Islam, that Hajj indeed is one of the important ones, but what do we learn from it, even if we're not going on Hajj? First of all, we make dua for all of those who are making Hajj. This is a duty and responsibility we should make. That we're going to make dua for them, and inshallah that each and every one of them has Hajj Mabrur. And we hope inshallah that it happens for us if it hasn't happened. But more importantly, what is the lesson that we learn from Hajj? Because otherwise, we allow Hajj to become just a ritual in the minds of our children. That is just a ritual that happens, that they see people going around this black cube and this, that, and the other, but they don't realize and understand that it's commemorating this fact that the human body should be one and acting as one. Because when they're circumambulating the Kaaba, you see, they're going in the same direction. When they don the ihram, they all are dressed the same. So it's furthering this point, inshallah, that we should be one. That we should be one. Ya ibadallah. How will our children grow up knowing anything if we don't show it to them? So inshallah, that's why it's beautiful, inshallah, when they come to Jummah and they see the fact that they have various different spiritual uncles. That this is your uncle, inshallah, and your uncle is white. This is your uncle and your uncle is brown. This is your uncle and your uncle is red. This is your uncle and your uncle is yellow. Because inshallah, it allows them to realize that this is what Islam is. And this is the hope that Islam has for the world. This is the hope that Islam has for the world. We see that America right now, the country that we reside in, is torn apart by racial strife. Torn apart by the racial strife that happened when many people who were Muslim, because it's estimated that as many as 40% of the African slaves that were brought to the United States of America were Muslim. A documented fact. And we see that because of that racism that happened, and the injustice that went on then, that we still see manifestations of it happening today. We see the oppression that's happening in the Middle East. We see the fitna that's happening in Asia. We see the fitna that's happening in other parts of the world. And yes, we've been told about that because our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't leave us clueless. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't leave us clueless. So we look at these hadiths about the last days and we see all of this is going to happen. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? And the best thing that we can do about it is with our own lives. So the lesson of Hajj has to be that we also realize that we are on a journey. We're on a journey back to our Lord, each and every one of us. Each and every one of us is on a journey back to our Lord. And that inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will call us to account for how we behave as the inheritors of this deen. You know, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was so concerned about his ummah. You know it as well as I do, or even better. That one of his constant duos was Allahumma ummati, Allahumma ummati, Allahumma ummati. So much that he would be crying, praying for us, for you and I, for you and I. He referred one time, they asked him, they said, Ya Rasulullah, tell us something, inshallah. And a lot of times he would sit down and talk to them. He said, who has the strongest faith? And they said, well, the Anbiya. And Rasulullah said, yes, they have the strongest faith, but they were given that because of the mission that they had. And they asked him, who had the strongest faith? And they would say again and again, well, you know, you Rasulullah, of all the Anbiya, you have the strongest faith. Yes, but I've been commissioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have this. Well, your companions, they have the strongest faith. Yes, alhamdulillah. And they went on and on and on. He said, well, what about the Malaika? They have the strongest faith. Yes, but they have no choice. You see, the angels have no choice. They only have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't have free will. So it went on and on and on. But finally got to the point the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there will come a group of people who have never seen me. Who have never seen me. And yet and still they will believe in the message that I brought, and they will believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know who those people are? They're you and I. For we never saw Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with our eyes. And we have the opportunity, inshallah, to live up to be those people that he was talking about. You see? We have the opportunity to live up to be those people. And on another occasion, in another hadith, may Allah forgive me for adding or taking away, but I'm getting to the gist of the point of it. He referred to the people now as his brothers. And they asked him, they said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are we not your brothers? Yes, you're my companions and my brothers, but I'm talking about these people, inshallah, who have never seen me. And yet and still, they have so much faith in their hearts about Islam. They have the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about this Islam, and they have a love for me. Now, it's one thing to have love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inshallah, which we all do. But you know, love has to be an active thing. For example, you can tell your wife, Habibi, Habibi, I love you, all day long, right? But there has to be some type of action that she can see that shows that love, right? All you brothers know that. Married brothers know that. Inshallah. She has to see something from it. It could be as simple as some candy. It could be flowers. It could be a kiss on the cheek or whatever. Well, inshallah, it's the same way, inshallah ta'ala aziz, that we show our love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's how we carry out the sunnah. And it's not just by the way that we dress, or the liyah that we wear, or that we use a mishwak. Don't get me wrong, that's all part of the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But it's also the way in which that we treat each other and we live out this brotherhood that he told us about. That we lived out this brotherhood that he told us about. You see, it's very easy to make all beautiful speeches and have nice sounding words, but how are we living out this brotherhood? How well do you know the brother sitting next to you right now at Juma? You see, there's mosques all over the United States that people come every week and they sit next to somebody at Juma, and it may go on for years and they know nothing about them. Know nothing about them. Well, what's your point, Imam? My point is you could be sitting next to somebody whose utilities are getting ready to get shut off right now. or who doesn't have anything to eat right now, or suffering from some other thing, and inshallah, you know nothing about it. Whereas we had the example of the Sahaba Ikram radiallahu anhu. One day, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu was walking through the bazaar. He was walking through the marketplace and he heard a lady complaining. And some of the people with him, you could call them servants, bodyguards, whatever you want to call them, they went over there and they were ready to shut this woman up because she said, oh, the Amir al-Mu'mineen, he doesn't care anything at all about us. He doesn't care about me. He knows nothing about me. And Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu stopped her from shutting this woman up. Let her speak. And he listened. And she didn't recognize him, alhamdulillah. He said, what's the matter? She said, I don't have enough flour to even make bread for my children. There's not even enough hooks in my house that we can eat anything. So you know what Abu Bakr did? He didn't talk about all of the great things that the Islamic State had done, which he well could have. He didn't talk about how much was in the Bayt al-Mal or how much was in the treasury, which he could have. He could have cited all the examples of all of the things that the Muslims were doing, which he could have. What he did is he personally went home, put some flour on his back, heavy sack of flour on his back. One of his servants he refused to let that one carry it. And he personally carried it to that lady, delivered to her, and made sure, inshallah, that she had something to eat. That's the leadership that existed amongst the Muslims. And that's why the Muslims love their leaders. And that's part of the reason why we see strife in the Muslim world right now, because that leadership doesn't exist. We find leaders that are more interested in lining their pockets at Swiss bank accounts. They're more interested in accumulating certain, I don't care if this is politically correct or whatever. I have to speak the truth. So inshallah, this is something that we can do. Get to know people. Be concerned about them. You see? And if nothing else, if you can't do anything, you can make dua for them. You can see that your brother is suffering, inshallah, you can make dua for him. You see? And if you really are a believer, inshallah, or striving to be a believer, don't discount dua. Because inshallah, the dua of the oppressed and the poor people is the most powerful duas that are being lifted up on the face of the earth. The duas that are going up right now from Aleppo and Syria, you may not think they have any effect whatsoever because we don't have that kind of faith. But inshallah, there will be an accounting. There will be accounting for the suffering that those people are going through right now. You may not think so. You may not believe so. Because sometimes a man is so weak that we think that certain things are happening and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't going to bring about a balance. But you watch and see. There'll be a balance. There'll be a balance. Ya ibadallah. So as we're looking at Hajj at this particular time, as we're looking at Muslims from all over the world at this great family reunion, coming together, inshallah, showing the oneness of the human family, showing the oneness of the fact that, inshallah, we all are those who worship one God. Inshallah. But we have to manifest it in our deeds and our actions. We have to manifest it in the way that we practice this Islam. We have to manifest it in the way that we treat one another. Do we have shortcomings? Of course we do. Do we fall short many times? Of course we have. Could we do more? Of course we could. But we have to first of all recognize that there's a problem. And we have to first of all recognize that the problem lies within ourselves. You see, it's all too easy to criticize somebody else and talk about what they're not doing and what they're not doing and who's not doing this and who's not doing this and why this madhab is not as good as the madhab that I follow. Why this sheikh is not as good as the sheikh that I follow. Why this is happening and why that is happening. We can come up with all the great arguments in the world. But how come we aren't following the greatest one of all, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? For indeed, there was no imam greater than Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You can argue with me all you want, I'll never believe it. So inshallah ta'ala, this is something that we have to look at ourselves and realize that we have a lot of work to do internally. And this is one of the things that the Hajj reminds us of, that we're all one. And if we all stand together, if we all stand together truly united behind La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, like the Sahaba Ikram did, radiallahu anhu, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. There's nothing that we can't accomplish. There's not anything, inshallah, that we can't accomplish. But it takes us, inshallah, being sincere, and it takes us, inshallah, coming together and uniting, inshallah, to bring about these changes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد الله ونصلي الكريم ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. There's a simple dua that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make. It's in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari. It was narrated from Aisha that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, "O Allah, I seek refuge with you from laziness and old age, from debts and sins, from the torment of the fire and the tribulation of the fire, and from the tribulation of the grave and the torment of the grave, from the evil of the tribulation of wealth and the evil of the tribulation of poverty, and from the evil of the tribulation of Masih Dajjal. O Allah, wash away my sins with the water of snow and hail, cleanse my heart from sin as a white garment is cleansed from filth, and put a distance between me and my sins as great as the distance you have made between the east and the west." If we just took the time to understand that dua and deeply reflected upon it, there's so many things in there, inshallah. I could stand here probably for an hour, and I'm no great scholar, and just talk about it. You see, inshallah, this is the key. And this is also the problem. The problem, inshallah, that we don't recognize some of the things that are wrong with us. We live in a society right now that's very concerned about health. We find that there are people talking about genetically modified foods. We find people that are talking about the purest water and organic this and organic that. But we live in a society that people are not concerned about internal purity. And it's the internal purity, inshallah, that's causing a great amount of the fitness on the face of the earth right now. Because there's no leader who could be causing the problems that some of the leaders are causing right now if their internal hearts were cleansed. The people, inshallah, would not be suffering from the leadership, because there's a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may Allah forgive me for adding or taking away, but the gist of which is that the people get the leadership that they deserve because of the way that they're living. The people get the leadership they deserve because of the way that they're living. And inshallah, part of the dalil for that is one time the companions came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Once again, may Allah forgive me for adding or taking away from this hadith. And they say, "Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we can't understand why was Bani Israel just punished so much again and again and again and again? Because so many of the Anbiya went to Bani Israel. Why were they punished like that? I mean, we just don't understand." You see, they had Musa, they had this, they had that. Why were they punished like that? And the Prophet ﷺ came with a very simple answer, but it was so profound that if you think about it, you'll understand a lot of things. He said they were punished because the evil grew because the good men led it. The evil grew because the good men led it. So all too often we want to sit on the sidelines and watch the evil grow. All too often we want to see things that are going on, and yet and still we're too afraid to do anything about it. We're too afraid to even speak out against it. You all know when the Prophet ﷺ talked about the different levels of faith, and he spoke about the least level of faith, of course, was just to hate it in your heart. And then we could speak out against it. And then, of course, was to act against it. So, inshallah, each and every one of us needs to make a decision that where are we going to be at as far as our levels of faith are concerned? Where are we going to be at? We know there are a lot of things and changes that could be made in society But first of all, we have to change the condition within ourselves. We have to make sure, inshallah, that we're practicing Islam. That we have to make sure, inshallah, that we're truly brothers to one another. We find that, inshallah, just like at this particular masjid, alhamdulillah, we've been blessed with so many shahadas that we know we need a bigger place. But inshallah, what are we bringing people into? Are we bringing people into the same foolishness they left, where they come in and find out that there's various different divisions? I pray not. Are we bringing people into a situation that they find the same bickering and jealousy and envy that they left from out there? I pray not. Do we bring them into a situation that they find that there's people who don't care for and love one another like they just came from? I pray not. And the best way we do that is not by speeches. It's not by a lot of dawah material. It's not by eloquent talks at taleems even. It's by the way that you and I treat people and we live with one another as Muslim brothers. You see, because this is the way that somebody can judge you and I as far as how we really are. So inshallah, I'm asking each and every one of us to understand the greatness of this test that we all have. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that khutbah al-hadath, if you all remember, one of the things he said, let those who are present tell those who are absent. Perhaps the ones who are absent may understand even than those that are present. And you know what the Sahaba Quran did, radiallahu anhu? Some of them immediately went home, packed their bags, and left and started spreading Islam all over the earth. They kissed their wives and their children. They left. Some of them never came back home again, because that's how much the words of the Prophet had an impact on their lives. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ya ibadallah. How much impact does it have upon our life? As far as our colleagues are concerned that we work with, or our neighbors that we live around. Yes, we're dealing with a lot of Islamophobia. Yes, we're dealing with a lot of foolishness going on. But we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran that He hurls the truth at falsehood and knocks its brains out. But what does that mean? We're not talking about the physical violence that they want to accuse us of. But by knocking its brains out, we knock out any irrational arguments about what Muslims are and what Muslims aren't by the way that we conduct our lives. This is the reason why, inshallah, that I keep pushing the program that we have every Saturday, where we're feeding everybody in this part of camp. And more we see that people come here and tell us how much they love what we're doing. Every week we find people to come here and say, I didn't have anything to eat today. You guys are Muslims? I didn't know Muslims were like that. Every week this happens. Every week, by Allah's mercy, this happens. So inshallah, I hope we pray and realize that inshallah, that as we look at the pilgrims on their way to Hajj and the sacrifices that they've made, because it's not like a lot of people coming here or going here from the United States. Most of them won't be sleeping in air-conditioned tents. Most of them won't be staying in any 4- or 5-star hotels. A lot of them are coming there, and they've spent everything and saved for years to get there. So inshallah, I hope and I pray that each and every one of us reflect upon some of these words that I've said. And I hope and I pray, inshallah, that from this very little community, that something can start that can spread and change Canton, Ohio. I believe that, or I wouldn't have this job. I believe we can change Canton. I believe that because I saw what happened with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he first went home. Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with her, wrapped him up and assured him that he received revelation from God. I believe that, and I hope and pray that each and every one of you believes it too. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forgive us for our sins, keep us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, send our choicest peace and blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon his wives, his companions, and all those who follow right guidance. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us our book of deeds in our right hand, a swift passage over the Sirat, and minister to your genital firdaus. Subhanaka wa bihamdika subhana rabbil azim. La ilaha illallah.
الله اكبر الله اكبر اشهد ان لا اله الا الله اشهد ان محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاه حي على الفلاح كم الصلاه كم الصلاه الله اكبر لا اله الا الله
لا اله الا illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa salatu wa salamu alayhi. Move it up a little bit. Shukran. Make sure they have enough. Stout. Make sure our rows are straight. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إن أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر كم في شهر تنازل ملائكة وروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي مطلع الفجر. الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar.
سمع الله من حمده.
ربنا ولك الحمد.
الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar.
الله أكبر.
Allahu Akbar.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
سمع الله لمن حمده.
ربنا ولك الحمد.
الله أكبر.
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 السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Stop it. Just a quick, short announcement so y'all know everybody is God bless. Inshallah, reminding everybody, inshallah, tomorrow and every Saturday from 2 to 5, we've been averaging close to 100 people every week that we feed. And it's a quiet way of doing dawah. We've had people take shahada just from coming here and being fed. So inshallah, we'd like more people here. I like for people to see more faces and different faces than the faces here. I want people to see people that reflect Islam. Inshallah, because of the way that we really are. So inshallah, if you can, we need donations. Fill the Sadaqah box up. We need whatever you can do. We know we need hamburger buns, hot dog buns. We need hot dogs. We need hamburgers. Inshallah, we need mustard. We need ketchup. Inshallah, or money, jack, falus, naqud, whatever word you want to use. Inshallah, also, inshallah, a reminder that we have a talim on Sunday. We could also use your help. We go over the khutbah every Sunday. And there might be some additional hadiths, there might be some additional information that you can add. And inshallah, we don't think we know everything. So inshallah, come. Inshallah. Last but not least, I want to thank this community for something that's personal, but it's not. Just recently, I was selected to be inducted into the Canton Legends Hall of Fame. That's not for me. That's all of y'all. And inshallah, it's the first time that it's happened for a Muslim. And inshallah, I want everybody there at the induction ceremony. Because like I said, it's not for me. It's for all of us. But inshallah, we're changing slowly but surely the way that people are seeing Islam in this city. And we want to continue to do that. We're up against a lot, but inshallah, we can continue to do a lot. Inshallah. Also, before I go, I don't want to embarrass him, but we get ready to not lose, but to have a long-standing member of our community move, Brother Tarek. We're going to miss him. We love you, bro. Inshallah. Inshallah, he said he's going to come down at least twice a week. He's moving to Cleveland, but and we're going to hold him to it. We're going to come get you, boy. We're going to see you. Inshallah. But like I said, get to know everybody. Love. I'm see my brother Umar. Inshallah. I'm missing. Inshallah. We all brothers from another mother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Come back up! Hey, little court. Inshallah, I think we got a shahada. We got a brother who wants to take shahada. There's nothing more important than that. So if everybody sit down for a minute, come sit down. Hey, give him a chair. Bring him this chair. How you, baby? Good to see you. You good? You got one chair. Huh? Oh, you're good. Oh. His brother said he wants to take you out. Oh, okay. Next time, inshallah. Inshallah. Yeah, okay. How you? Next time. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Wow, how'd you feel?
He's good. Good. Yeah, he's 20 now.
Huh?
He's 20 now.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been doing good. I have to work all the time on Friday, so I've been able to get down here. You know?
Okay.
But today, great. Got full money in the car.
Got a song? It's a lot. That's it.